It is a huge problem across our country and in our state, and what we've seen is that it causes these children to have supernatural strength, hallucinations, they hurt themselves, hurt others, and there is no human consumption use for this product, these drugs. It's MDVP and methadone. And so my House Resolution 1571 actually bans those drugs, puts them on the controlled substance list, Schedule 1, and it is co-sponsored currently by 33 original co-sponsors, of which is the chairman of the Judiciary, Lamar Smith, and the ranking member, John Conyers. As you can hear from that, that is bipartisanship. We have a large bipartisanship on this issue because our children are dying from this drug. It is not for human consumption, and these children are dying. And I want to lead by having Pam Bondi, who has been dealing with it here on the state, have a few words.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And that's why it is so important to have Congresswoman Adams in office. Thank you so much, because she picked up on this right away, excuse me, with her career in law enforcement. And that's what's so important. And thank you for representing us in DC. And thank you. This drug, methylene dioxypyrovalerone, MDPV, it's hit our state. It was outlawed in Louisiana. I signed an emergency order in January banning it. Our House and Senate, it's flying through the House and Senate with complete bipartisanship, which is a great thing. But what's happened is I called the Attorney General in Alabama, and it wasn't banned there. And he called me back and said, it is a problem here, and we have to deal with that. And when we ban something in Florida, and Louisiana bans it, and Alabama bans it, it starts going to the other states. And that's why what Congresswoman Adams is doing is so very important, to get this drug off of our street. It's a synthetic drug. It's manufactured in Asia, and it has hit our country. So thank you very much for your leadership and for all the lives that you will be saving by your legislation. Thank you.
Sheriff?
Thank you very much. Good morning. Fortunately, law enforcement agencies within Central Florida have not experienced widespread use of this particular designer drug. Publicly, I'd like to acknowledge the effort of the Attorney General and Congresswoman Adams for their quick and aggressive response to this issue before it becomes a crisis within Central Florida. Now, I have spoke with my colleagues in North Florida, and I can only describe it from what they have conveyed to me as an extreme psychotic episodes. One case involving a 24-year-old male took 7 officers to restrain this individual, and once he was placed in the back of the patrol car, he destroyed equipment, which was the back radar unit in the back windowsill, with his teeth. He then destroyed equipment within the hospital and was placed in ICU for a period of 3 days. That's one episode. The next, without them knowing what the substance was, a woman, 28 years of age, attempted to decapitate her mother using a machete. Another episode in the same county, in Bay County, an individual tried to shoot what he described as demons through the floor of his house. This is an issue that should not only be addressed in Florida, but again, we applaud the efforts of the Congresswoman for making this a federal legislation. Thank you.
As you can see, the drugs cause very strange reactions in these children and the abusers. It's high propensity for abuse. And what is happening, and it's across the country, and that's why it's so important. As the Attorney General came forward in early January when she saw the problem, I commend her for doing so. She created the emergency order. She's worked through the legislative process, and it's about to be passed here in Florida. Other states are now seeing the problem, and that is why I filed my legislation on the federal level, because it is not just one state, it's several states, and it is flooding through the states as we speak today. We've heard as many as 25 states have experienced problems, and we recognize that, as the sheriff said, these synthetic drugs cause very strange reactions. We have one article from the Medical Association that says that they had actually sedated one of these users, one of these children, and it took everything they could, because every time he would start to come out of the sedation, the hallucinations would start again and the violent actions would start again. So with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have on this bath salts. They do smoke it, snort it, shoot it, drink it. So, and it is not for human consumption.
We've heard about the issues in Bay County and some of those examples we heard about in January when the Attorney General proposed the emergency ban. Has any one of you local law enforcement officials had any dealings with it at all here? I believe it's been taken out of stores.
We actually been checking since actually December, January, all the head shops within Seminole County. We have talked with law enforcement agencies within Central Florida, and there is no widespread use. However, Jim McNamara of the FDLE lab has experienced some cases in the northern region of the Central Florida area, Volusia, also in Tampa. Hillsborough.
What had happened, this wasn't going through law enforcement, it was going through poison control, because it wasn't criminal. And thank goodness the sheriff in Bay County, Sheriff McKeithen, caught it, called us, and we really got it before it hit South Florida. And it really started coming to Florida after Bobby Jindal banned it in Louisiana. So it started coming here, and now it's headed to Alabama, it's headed to other states. It's deadly. It's in a packet that looks like a sugar packet. It's sold in convenience stores. We sent 2 FDLE agents in the Tallahassee Mall and they bought it before we banned it. But law enforcement, FDLE, all the sheriffs, they have been so aggressive in getting it off the shelves. It's deadly, and it's spreading throughout our country. And again, that's why what Congresswoman Adams is doing is so very important, and it will be life-saving, because these drug dealers aren't going to give up. They're going to move to other states when we ban it here. So thank you again.
And it's to be noted that the United Kingdom and other countries have already started to ban this product as well.
Ms. Bondi, the first big phenomenon was the synthetic marijuana. Now we've moved on to synthetic cocaine. Can you talk about what can be done and what your office is doing? Because surely something else is coming along down the road.
You're exactly right, and that's what's so frustrating for all of us in law enforcement. You know, we always say that we can't keep up with technology, with the sexting and the kids and the cell phones and the iPads. Well, now we have to keep up with the drug dealers. And that's why we're blessed to have such great aggressive law enforcement officers, because this stuff's being manufactured outside of our country, and it is a huge moneymaker. You know, it's sold tiny packets for between $34 and $44, and it's just a teaspoon-sized powder. And these people are getting rich off of this. So what law enforcement's doing, they're being extremely aggressive, and that's what the Congresswoman is doing by banning this. But you're right. These new synthetic designer drugs, it's the new LSD, and we're going to be aggressive, we're going to keep up with it, and we're going to ban it throughout our country thanks to Congresswoman Adams.
Any indication that by making it illegal, whether it's going to make more of a push on the black market?
Well, what we've seen is it is currently not illegal. And so until we see what the results are, I think what will happen is they'll move on to other places. Like I said, other countries have already started to ban it. Now it's showing up here. And I mean, we've got some really startling statistics. Let me get back to it. In January, 299 cases were reported of poison control. In February, 454. And in March alone, 628. It's on the rise. And if we do nothing, we're going to lose a lot of our children to this synthetic drug that is killing them.
But in other states like Louisiana, when they outlawed it, it just moved to states where there wasn't a law, there wasn't a ban. But did Louisiana, for instance, are you aware of any increase where trafficking, for instance, increased via the internet or other things?
We're not aware of that. I think what they do is they move to where it is legal or it's a better avenue. And that's the problem we're having. We're seeing it go from one state to another state to another state. As states react and start putting in laws to protect their citizens. And you gotta remember, these things are named Vanilla Sky. I mean, really innocuous names. And so, and these kids are hearing about it, and they're not recognizing the real dangers of it, and it is a real danger.
You know, most of these synthetic drugs target children. Can you talk about that a little bit and how, you know, bad it is?
Well, you know, I'll start. You're right, it does target our youth, and very, like I said, they name them very innocuous names, so it makes it seem okay. And the kids hear that it's okay, and so they hear about all this great stuff it does, and next thing you know, they're using it, and all these bad things start to happen. Whether if they survive it, they may have mutilated themselves, because we've got actual cases where a young man took a skinning knife to himself. He survived his own attack, but they don't even know, based on the chemicals, what are the after effects later on in life, because it does attack the nervous system. So they do really target our youth, because the youth are a little bit less knowledgeable about the issues sometimes, and it's an easier sell, especially when you're selling it from $20 to $50.